this evening. India's healthcare innovation landscape is poised for a significant leap, with its market potential expected to double to approximately $60 billion by FY 2028. Pharma services and healthtech are anticipated to drive about 80% of this growth, maintaining their positions as the largest segments in the market. All this according to the findings of Healthcare Innovation in India report by Bain & Company and Healthquad. And to elaborate on the key findings of the report, joining me now is Ajay Mahipal, Managing Director of Healthquad. Also with me, my colleague Ritu. Ajay, welcome to Startup Street. And like I just mentioned, healthcare innovation in India is to double. If you could tell us what are the key drivers for this bullish growth, also throw some light on the regulatory tailwinds.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on the show. Quickly introducing Healthquad is India's leading healthcare transformation fund, where we back disruptive and innovative models to radically improve healthcare access, affordability, and quality of care. We have collaborated with Bain & Company, which is a global consultancy firm, runs across 65 cities in 40 countries, and has a vibrant ecosystem of digital innovators. Given that we essentially back companies in the healthcare innovation space, it just made imminent sense for us to take a deep dive into what are the emerging trends and what is driving this growth in the healthcare innovation segment. And when we look at India is a $180 billion healthcare market, poised to become $320 billion market by FY 28, of which 15% is the healthcare innovation market, currently at $30 billion and likely to be $60 billion by FY 2028. Some of the key drivers
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ajay, we'll get into those details. This is Ritu. This health tech market you're talking about, growing strong as per your report, it more than doubled from $3 billion in 2020 to $7 billion now. Just summarize for us what has led to this kind of robust growth.
Yes, so since COVID, the sector got the impetus, and now because of higher income growth, digital adoption, also with increased telecom penetration, all of these factors are essentially driving, and consumer essentially placing a much higher bar on the convenience to essentially access telemedicine, e-pharmacy services, e-diagnostic services. All of this put together is essentially helping the health tech market essentially take a quantum leap in terms of growth, and also essentially fueled by some of the private players, private funding players, including Healthquad, who are essentially helping some of these companies not just find the right go-to-market strategy, but also build a very credible and successful, sustainable business model in the healthcare ecosystem.
Okay, Ajay, let's quickly shift focus to the more nascent fields. India's vaccines and biotech sector, which is valued at $4 billion in FY 2023 and contributes 15% to the healthcare innovation market. And India, of course, remains a global powerhouse, supplying 60% of global vaccine demand. If you could quickly talk to us about the innovative funding models you're seeing and the entry of the new investor classes in biotech.
Yes, so in the biotech space, we've seen the COVID-19 essentially gave the impetus to vaccines. We've seen Zydus develop a plug-and-play plasmid DNA platform. We've seen Genova develop an mRNA vaccine, which got approval for use in India. And of course, this is pushing Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech to push their boundaries of innovation and stay relevant. We also see accelerated approval routes by US FDA since COVID. And we also now see long R&D cycles and high-risk binary outcomes, essentially, which used to limit the funding flow, are now being circumvented or mitigated through milestone-based outcome approach by the private equity and the venture capital players in the space.
Ajay, in the medtech space, the kind of evolution that we've seen, do you think these tightened regulations and price caps, they've pushed players to actually go ahead, innovate, and produce these high-quality products at competitive prices?
Absolutely. So I think regulations have a lot of role to play. Indeed, earlier on the medtech side specifically, almost 80 to 90% of all medical devices in India were essentially imported. Now we are moving away from a value engineering model to essentially an innovative model and a Make in India initiative, which of course started by the government. There are now biotech parks, medtech parks, which are essentially fueling this growth. And we now see a lot more innovation coming out, companies like Mall Biodiagnostics, Cure.ai, in the diagnostic space, Niramai, again, in the breast cancer screening space. We now see a lot more players essentially coming out with plays in the medtech space and solving not just for India healthcare challenges, but also for the global healthcare challenges.
Sure. Ajay, let's now quickly move to the investor sentiment. Around healthcare, it has remained stable across stages over the last 5 years. However, the report highlights a crucial shift in investor focus towards higher unit economics and growing interest in pharma services, medtech and biotech. How do you view investor interest going forward?
So we see a consistent flow in the healthcare ecosystem from both private equity and VC players, and it continues to stay robust in the 1.5 to $2 billion in terms of funding coming in the healthcare innovation space every year, even including in FY23. Outlier year being FY22, when we essentially peaked at $4.2 billion. But I think healthcare sector continues to show resilience on the private side. We've also seen on the public side with the IPO momentum picking up and almost 22 IPOs in the healthcare space hitting the markets. It essentially augurs well from an exit perspective as well for the private investors. And that is fueling a lot of interest across pharma services, biotech, medtech by the private investors. There's, of course, tremendous interest in the early stages, and of course, followed by mid-stage to late stage is essentially also exciting. A lot of interest from investors in the relevant stage.
All right, Ajay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us and for being with us here on Startup Street.